All right, so now it says find the maximum y value of the graph minus x squared minus 2x plus 3. Now, when it says find max, they've already told you what you're going to look for. But if they didn't, if we look at our a value, if a is less than 0, that's going to be max. And if a is greater than 0, that's going to give us a min. And so a max means it's going to be doing what? Well, it's going to open down, and a min is going to go open up. And so these are some kind of interesting things to start noting when you're doing these, because that's going to really kind of help you when they say find the max, find the min, and then they don't tell you what it is. You have to know, okay, well, if that a is less than 0, I'm finding a max, and so therefore that's what I'm looking for. But if they say, if this is a 2x squared minus 4x plus 7, then if it's a 2 here, that's greater than 0, so we're going to be actually finding a min. So that's a little aside that we're going to learn here in a little bit. Now, because the graph is a parabola that opens downward, because again, a is less than 0, the highest point is going to be our vertex. And so our a is -1, b is -2. Plug that in, we get a -1 for x. Plug that back into this, we get the y, or the f of x, is equal to 4. And so our vertex is going to be what? -1, 4. And if we graph that, that's what it looks like. And again, if we're doing just a rough sketch of this, we don't have to get more points. If we just say, okay, well, we want to have, just our vertex, which we found here, then we can say, okay, well, it's going to go down something like that. So if we're not too specific, and probably it would be better if you had a graph that was just, more hand-drawn like this. So, it's -1 and a 4. Then you can say, okay, well, it's going to do something like that, but it's not exact. This one, they've actually plotted some points here that they're not showing to get to that point. All right, here we have a baseball is hit into the air and its height h in feet after t seconds can be calculated by this equation. Again, -16, that's a is less than 0, so we know it's going to be a max, and so that's going to be a key. And a lot of things like rockets, throwing a ball, things like that, those are going to be maxes, and so our vertex will be the height in the thing. So it's going to be, at time 0, it starts here, it goes up, hits the max, comes back down, and hits over here at time whatever it is. So what we want to do is find the height of the baseball when it is hit, and then determine the maximum height of the baseball. All right, so the baseball is hit when what? T is equal to 0, because you haven't actually done anything. It's thrown to you, and then you're going to hit it when it hits a certain point, but we don't know what that point is. Well, that's at time equals 0. So at time equals 0, this part of the equation falls out, and all we have left is 2. So that's going to be our value there. The height at that time is going to be 0. And so next thing is determine the max height. Well, that's going to be when we have our vertex. So we have our A and our B. We have those. We plug those in, and we get a 2 for x. So that's going to be our x value. So now we plug that in to solve for y, and we get y is equal to 66. And so we've just plugged again 2 into those two places, added the 2 on the end, and so our max height then is going to be 66 feet in the air at what? At time equals 2. Okay. All right, so that's all I have for this section. Hopefully that helps you get started.